What would happen if you put 7 world champion street dancers, freestylers, and choreographers together in a team for a global competition? 7 world-class skills, 7 brains, 7 different styles, 7 personalities. A recipe for success?
팀 재팬 오사카 오조겐 크루입니다.
Or disaster?
こうして私自身の口からお話しするまで長い時間がかかってしまい、大変申し訳ございませんでした。
Welcome to the Dance Study. I'm your host Mel. I was a dancer and choreographer for 10 years. I also have a master's in business analysis and I've been working in marketing for the past 6 years. In this series, I'll be breaking down the business, marketing, and culture of street dance. Before we go on, I do want to put on a disclaimer. I am a big fan of every dancers that I talk about in this series. But liking and admiring something or someone doesn't mean you can't criticize them. However, the Dance Study series is not an invitation for anyone to be spreading hate or being nasty or being mean to the people that I talk about, because they are my idols and that will be just rude and nasty. So let's keep the discussion respectful and in educational level. Thank you. Now, why were there 2 crews representing Japan in World Street Woman Fighter? This is a question that came up a lot during the show. And to answer it, let's break it down. Street dance was popularized in the US, specifically the Bronx, in the 1970s. After the war, the US and Japan became close allies, and through this relationship, there was a lot of import and export of technology, knowledge, and trade, and within that, also culture. Because of this, Japan became one of the first places in Asia where street dance took root. Tokyo became the first main hub where cypher and underground battles started happening, where dancers chose street corners and spaces outside of buildings to practice. But Tokyo is the headquarters of Japan's entertainment industry, so Tokyo street dance quickly became more institutionalized. Tokyo dancers got pulled into commercial work such as idol culture and also backup dancing for J-pop. Meanwhile, in other parts of Japan, like Osaka, the underground battle movement flourished without the need for any institutionalized validation. Staying rooted in the actual community, dancers would just gather in a cypher, no fancy rigging, no stage, no audience, not even a prize money. Just them exchanging energy, showcasing their skills, and building bigger communities. This created a purity in the dancer's craft in the street dance culture in Osaka. This is what makes the street dance scene in Tokyo and Osaka so different. And it's also reflected in the 2 Japanese crew we see in the World Street Woman Fighter. RH Tokyo, who is known as a team deeply embedded in the industry, and also Osaka OJO gang, who are mainly champions in the street dance and freestyle competitions. Osaka's underground battle environment has become a space that consistently produces world-class freestylers, which naturally draws the attention of the industry. In a scene like this, most dancers grow up focusing on the craft, the community, and the culture itself. Things like money, contracts, or management aren't always part of that journey. They don't dance to be rich and famous, but it's simply part of who they are. This is the environment where OJO gang grew up. OJO gang is made out of incredibly skilled dancers, each with their own story. But to understand what unfolds later, I want to focus on the key figures who sits in the center of it, especially the OGs who were already established in the scene long before the show. Among those world-class freestylers is Ibuki. Ibuki Imata became a legendary name in freestyle whacking before whacking was cool. Together with her partner Yumeki as Bad Queen, they absolutely dominated the battle scene, whether together or alone. She has this precision, insane power, and a level of musicality that makes her style of whacking truly unique to her. In the hip-hop scene, there's also a powerful female duo, Rush Ball. While Ibuki was rising in whacking, Kyoka and her longtime partner Maika were winning international titles one after another. Most prominently, they won Just Debut, which is one of the most prestigious hip-hop battle events in the world, at just 19 years old. How can these dancers achieve so much at an age where most people are only just starting? Because they started very early. At 4, 5, 6-year-olds, they train like athletes, and dance is their whole world. So there's a purity in the art within the dancers themselves. And personally, if you ask me who my number 1 idol in dance is, I would have to say Rush Ball. I used to spend nights staying up until 4 AM just to watch their battle videos over and over again. They were a huge part of shaping my dance style when I was younger. And I actually had the privilege to meet and work with them and also take their classes. In fact, this famous Kyoka's Judge Showcase video is actually from an event that my crew at that time organized. And yes, they are really amazing and so lovely and super respectful in person as you would imagine. So when Mnet released the first crew mission videos, I audibly screamed when I saw Kyoka is also participating in the competition. At that point, point, you're thinking, okay, the freestyle side is stacked for this crew. But what about choreography? Most of the mission in World's 3-Woman Fighter are choreo based, right? And that's where the rest of the team comes in. Rue is the founder of Fabulous Sisters. Her crew became the first Japanese winners of World of Dance and appeared on shows like Asia's Got Talent and Britain's Got Talent. I was really active in the dance community in the past, and my closest friendships was built through dance. Because the more that you go to battles, the more that you go to events and competitions, you start seeing the same people in the community over and over again. So you'd come over and say hello, and even though they are your opponent in that event, it becomes very easy to build a strong bond among dancers because there is a shared level of respect in each other's craft. And that kind of long-lasting connection is what you see between Ibuki, Rue, and Kyoka. The three of them even collaborated before under the name Dream Girls. The choreography side is also supported by the rest of the members, Juna, Hana, Minami, and Ua. For brevity reasons, I'm not going to get into their backstory, unlike the OGs that we just discussed, even though they're all equally amazing, but I just want to keep this essay concise. But they really killed it on the show, and they really had distinct styles in between them. So together, OJO Gang was a lineup of already established dancers, each with their own identity, coming together under one name. Their ability to come together as a team became a major point of discussion in the show, and that's what makes everything that happened next even more complicated. Because these were dancers with history, reputation, and their own way of working who suddenly having to function as one unit under the industry. Now let's talk about their journey on the show. We all know by now that they went on and won the whole show, and one point of controversy came out. Do they deserve it if other crew like AG Squad won more missions than them? There is no question that they are excellent dancers, and they worked really hard in the missions, despite being a crew that A, historically more prominent in freestyle and dance battles, and B, being their first time dancing as one crew, and competing in a competition where a majority of the mission is choreo based. Of course, a team that has more extensive choreo experience such as AG Squad would be more of the expert in creating choreography-based performances. But doesn't mean OJO Gang was far behind them. They also managed to achieve their main challenge in the show, which is dancing in unity as one despite their individual background. Additionally, they double down on those differences and use it to their advantage in creating versatility in their performance. Does Kyoka's popularity help carry the votes to win them the title? Although I don't discredit their hard work, I also think there is a validity to this statement. But that's the core of reality TV. If you want a dance competition that is purely skill-based, there are literally every other dance competition in the world that you can watch. But reality TV also captures the dancers beyond their skills, but also who they are as a person, which I think represent the real world more accurately. People who become successful aren't necessarily always the smartest or the most skillful. They are the people who have other factors, such as charisma, personality, and the right attitude, and people who have stories and redemption arcs. But what people fail to dissect is how OJO Gang and Kyoka became the most popular in the show, despite the fact that before the show aired, community freestylers such as Ibuki and Kyoka were mostly popular among dancers and not the public. The royal family and even dancers and teams who work in the industry, such as Riehata, likely have a lot more fans than them. But let me remind you, they are from Osaka. That raw, authentic street culture were represented well by them, and the most outspoken and expressive of them all, Kyoka. Let me just say, OJO Gang's entrance and introduction to the series had some of the best aura I've ever seen on that show. From the moment they walked in, with Ibuki's famous stare, Minami's swag, and especially the provocation from Kyoka. In theory, it should have made much more sense for Osaka to dominate the battle section of the show, but then Kyoka lost to Rie, and we all know that it wasn't the result most of us wanted. Objectively, it should have gone to Kyoka. I could go on a tangent about how some of those judges had no business judging a freestyle battle, especially JYP. Performance dancers shouldn't be judging freestyle battles. And Mike Song, come on. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. But yeah, it was what it was. All I'm saying is, they didn't start with the impact everyone expected from Osaka. They lost the first mission they should have won. But this is where it gets interesting. People could see the injustice in the judging, and that actually played into their favor. When the show aired, the story became one of the most memorable conflicts of the season. People who sense the injustice become more passionate in speaking up about what they believe in. This gives them a strong, memorable story arc that was outside of the orchestrated narrative created by the show. Their next big moment on the series is when they got to the elimination battle against the royal family, which is probably the most famous dance crew in the world. But OJO gang came in with guns blazing. They showed the royal family that the battle stage is their stage. You could see the royal family prepared routines built for performance setting, while OJO gang knew exactly how to construct routines that land on a battle stage, the one that is provocative, deliberate, with real impact. Their rounds hit so much harder in that context, and royal families are undoubtedly strong dancers. They have power, presence, and physicality. But what made Kyoka's performance stand out was that she wasn't afraid of any of it. Her aura was insane. She called things out. She made biting gestures. There's even a moment where she taps on their shoulder like, who exactly are you battling? She even provoked their crump-based battle style, showing their lack of versatility on that battle stage. You could tell this was her element, and this is what she does best. Because she grew up in Osaka's underground battle community, not the entertainment industry like most crew on the show, she has this raw, genuine, with unfiltered swag and aura that is also backed by a real skill. And Kyoka wasn't afraid to walk on the stage and be exactly who she is. She's confrontational, she's confident with no polish, and that's why the audience couldn't look away. TV loves authenticity because it's rare. That's why she became one of the most prominent breakout stars of World Street Woman Fighter 3. And while Kyoka stood out the most, she was really just the clearest and loudest expression of what the whole crew represents.
大阪は絶対に一番なめんじゃねえ
From underdog to champion, it looks like the perfect breakthrough. Finally, freestyle dancers from a community-based scene breaking into the commercial industry and getting the recognition they deserve. Or is it? In August 2025, the World Street Woman Fighter Tour concert was announced, with OJO gang confirmed to participate in all cities. Then around September, everyone started dropping statements. These statements are very long, and I'm sure that a lot of you have probably read them, so I'll put them on screen for you guys while I will do my best to try and summarize them as simply as possible. The first statement came from Ibuki, where she said, I can't join the concert because the tour organizers required me to sign a contract where I wasn't even granted the right to speak as an individual artist, and this has caused problems with the members. And then Route 59, the tour organizer, created a brand new IG page just to drop their own statements. Basically said, hey, we tried getting Ibuki's and members' attendance on the concert, but during negotiations, the manager was difficult to work with and demanded conditions that will be unfair to the members. So we went directly to the members to secure their attendance, but Ibuki didn't even board the flight when it was time for the first rehearsal. And then this was followed up by the statement from members excluding Ibuki on OJO gang's IG page that said, so we've been dealing with Ibuki's manager and she has this quote-unquote long-standing relationship with. Some of us were told that we need to sign under his management to join the show, and some of us weren't, and we also weren't told about work offers or tour dates coming our way, and we hadn't even been paid for our appearance fee and the prize money for winning the show. So we asked Ibuki to bin this manager, but she didn't, so we're just gonna do this tour without her. We then got a follow-up statement on the members' personal IG telling us that they have been logged out from the OJO gang's official IG page. The manager then dropped a statement on OJO gang's IG page that said, I was just trying my best to negotiate contracts for the members, including fighting for their pay and rehearsal fees. The appearance fee delay was due to tax reasons, and I was fighting for the team's right, which is why it was hard to reach an agreement with Route 59. And then they went behind my back and contacted the members directly. And then Ibuki released a second statement on her IG, basically reinforced the manager's statement, saying that the contract negotiation took a long time, again because they were fighting for this rehearsal fee for the tour. And suddenly, Ibuki then heard a shocking news that all members had signed with Route 59 separately, behind her and the manager's back, and Route 59 also forced her to sign a contract directly with them outside of the contract that she has with the manager. And then Ibuki was ganged up on a video call with the members and was told that she wasn't fit to be a leader. Since then, all members have now been paid equally, even though Ibuki had more responsibility as a leader, and this stressed her out so much that she became physically ill. Yes, this is an absolutely messy situation. The manager and the tour company can't reach an agreement. The tour deadline is approaching, other offers coming in for the members, while this one still isn't settled. And in the middle of all of that pressure, Route 59 then went directly to the members, leaving everyone, including Ibuki, who just wanted to meet the fans on tour, stuck in the middle. Marley defended Ibuki publicly, while Kyoka and Rue, her longtime friends in the industry, unfollowed her. So what's actually going on here? We're gonna break it down, but one thing that I don't doubt is that I don't think that Ibuki had any malicious intent. In quote, stealing the members' money. She paid it right away once she heard that the members were unhappy about the delays. And I fully believe that she actually wants the best for everyone. I also want to push back on the narrative that Ibuki is boy crazy for siding with the manager. We don't know for sure what the relationship is. Some speculate this to be romantic, some say strictly professional. Regardless, reducing her stand to that of a brainless romantic who can't think for herself and just follows her man is quite simply a misogynistic view. However, on the other hand, the fact that Kyoka and Ryu, the member who were closest to Ibuki, cut ties with her tells you something. What made them so mad at her? There must be a reason and a real loss of trust that pushed them to that point. So who's in the wrong? Well, we can't know the full picture. Route 59 released a document with receipts showing some of the contract negotiation and how the manager handled it. This is a long document and it might have been edited in ways that don't show us the full context. If it contains false information, then it will be on Route 59. But if these receipts are real, they give us a bit of illumination into who this manager is. Thankfully, I went through all of it for you. So let's unpack it together. First, we know from the members' own statement that some of them were approached to sign with the manager as a condition of joining the program, and some weren't. This is already a strange situation. They don't operate in unison as a dance crew from the very start. Signing with a manager or not shouldn't be a gatekeeper to joining a competition you've already been offered a place in. So from the beginning, they're already on a shaky ground. And the documents released by Route 59 showed us that most of their negotiations is surrounding the contract system. When the tour negotiation began, the manager pushed for a two-party contract system, while Route 59 insisted on a three-party system, which is more of the standard in a Korean entertainment. So what are these systems? The three-way contract system, which is what Route 59 wanted, will be like this. Imagine that there are three parties at the same table signing one documents together. That party involved Route 59 as the organizer, the manager, and also all of the members. And each members will have their own individual contracts. So everyone will see the full terms. Each member will know exactly what they are paid. The fee will be clearly written out in the contract, and there's also legal accountability at every step. This is transparent. If the manager disappears or cheats, the member still has legal proof of what they are owed. While the two-way or dual contract system that the manager wanted would just be between him and Route 59. The payment isn't broken down per member, but paid as a lump sum for the whole team. That will be paid directly to him. From there, the manager then has a separate contract with the members to pay them individually. So this way, essentially, the members wouldn't know from the beginning how much each of them will be paid. Instead, they will have to sign a contract with the manager that says, trust the manager to pay you whatever he decides. The member then will not have any legal leverage over the amount because no figure exists in the contract. So some of them can be paid more or less, and it's all up to him without the members discussing it first, and with the members completely blind to how much of a cut he was taking for himself. First of all, what? This immediately raises a red flag for me because the manager demanded a contract structure that isn't transparent, which would leave member completely unaware of their own fees. This back and forth kept going on and on and on, and from the documents, it seems like it was more of the manager pressuring Route 59 to sign the two-party contract that he drafted, while Route 59 kept pointing out that this wasn't normal. And then there are several other unprofessional behaviors from the manager that leave even more red flags. First, he claimed to be a lawyer. Sorry? Of what accreditation? Trust me bro university? It's a strange thing to invoke in a business negotiation. It reads almost entirely as an intimidation tactic. Second, he drafted that two-party contract on behalf of the members while never actually showing it to them. He was creating and agreeing to terms on behalf of people who had never seen what he was signing them up for. And then he contradicts himself a few minutes later by saying they will or they have agreed to these contracts because they are my team. Ibuki might trust this manager, but the rest of the members don't necessarily share this trust. Thirdly, there was a poster confirming Kyoka's attendance at a separate event on September 6th, which is the same day as the Seoul concert, and he failed to communicate this to the tour company at all, causing significant financial losses as the schedules had to be rearranged. He then used this as a reason to blame Route 59 for not signing his contract and used the visa deadline as additional pressure on top of that. The way this entire negotiation was conducted, from the hostile language to the completely one-sided demands and intimidations, screams unprofessionalism. But on the other hand, Route 59 isn't entirely clean either. Going directly to individual members behind the manager's back is genuinely problematic. The manager, whatever his fault may be, was the legally appointed representative of the group at that time. Bypassing him to contact the members individually could be seen as interfering with an existing business relationship. It created a situation where members were being pulled into two directions, which arguably made everything messier. And approaching Ibuki last, while strategically understandable, has the feel of deliberate isolation tactics. Once the two-party contract pressure started, what Route 59 should have done is bringing in a neutral third party early. A Korean entertainment lawyer could have authoritatively shut down the dual contract argument from the start, removing the personal back and forth entirely. The manager's "I'm a lawyer" claim would have carried a lot less weight against actual legal counsel. And once it became clear the manager was acting in bad faith, Route 59 should have removed all communication to formal written channels, such as certified letters, legal notices, and at the very least, professional emails, rather than continuing through casual messaging. That would have created much more cleaner evidence. Now, there's also a whole argument about the manager wants to fight for OJO Gang's rights and pay. In his statement, he addressed the late appearance fee payment, citing tax reasons, which is, to his credit, could possibly be true. When the issue came to light and members raised concerns, payments were actually made, which freed him from the embezzling money accusation. But he still failed to address the central question. Why did he keep pushing for a contract that offered no transparency about how much each member would be paid, or at least what percentage? He also claimed to be fighting for the members to earn more, with rehearsal fees being one of the key sticking points, arguing the girls spend long hours rehearsing. I understand that is a good thing to fight for, and he claimed Route 59 immediately shut it down, saying no other team will be paid for rehearsal fees. And I want to touch on this briefly from a business perspective. So when I used to work professionally in dance, meaning I will be invited to appear or perform at certain events, performance and appearance fee will always be paid as a flat fee, regardless of how much or how little you rehearse. Rehearsal fees are quite common in more of a unionized dance industries like Broadway, but because street dance industry is relatively new, it doesn't have that kind of infrastructure yet. So it's not surprising that it's not a standard practice there. While I fully support normalizing this, how much the dancers wants to be paid is ultimately not for the manager to decide on their behalf. In business terms, OJO Gang is the service provider. Route 59 and possibly other company that wants to work with the team are the clients. The manager is the bridge between the two. He doesn't employ OJO Gang. He doesn't pay them monthly like employees. And it also doesn't mean that OJO Gang can only find work because of his company. Quite the opposite. OJO Gang can find their own work independently. And his job is only to facilitate the business communication around those opportunities. That's why he's entitled to take a cut. So in this scenario, he's effectively is the one employed by the girls. So it's the girls who ultimately has the deciding power on what terms they will or won't accept for any given project. And the manager's job is to facilitate that conversation, to negotiate so the girls and the client can find a common ground that they're happy to work with. And that includes getting the contracts communicated to both parties, sorted, and signed within a reasonable time frame, which is exactly the duty he failed to fulfill. He also failed to conduct productive negotiations. Instead, he kept on making demands without room for compromise and applying intimidation and pressure throughout. Yes, you can advocate strongly for what you think your service is worth, but if the client doesn't have the budget for it, you can either walk away, take the deal, or meet somewhere in the middle. But whatever you do, it has to represent what the team actually wants. To make matters worse, the thing that the manager kept digging his heels in over, the thing that stalled the contract progressions and added so much time pressure, was ultimately serving his own interests through the two-party contract structure, not the extra fees for the girls that he claimed to be spending time fighting for. Because the thing is, the team might actually have preferred the three-party contract. The team might not have minded about the payment amount without the rehearsal fees, knowing they gain it in other ways, such as the exposure and the opportunity to meet their fans. but he kept acting on his own accord, negotiating in ways that were driving the deal away. So when he says he was doing all of this for the team, was he really? We already know the team's interests weren't being represented by the manager, because the team then went ahead and signed with Route 59 separately and agreed to those terms themselves. Whew, that was a lot, wasn't it? So where does this leave us? This has completely broken the team. All 6 members have cut ties from the leader, Ibuki, and her manager. They went on to do the tours as the 6 of them without Ibuki. And this conflict seems to be really difficult for the team to endure mentally, to the point where they were visibly crying on stage during the concert. And I personally don't blame Ibuki for siding with the manager. Street Woman Fighter was a huge life moment, and the manager was the person who navigated all of that with her. That kind of loyalty runs deep and doesn't disappear just because someone presents evidence against the person you trust. From where she was standing, what she got was the story that Route 59 had gone behind her back and orchestrated the members to turn against her, adding pressure and stress on top of an already impossible situation. And prior to that, she only had her manager's version of events as context. So she was forced to make major decisions without the proper time to verify the true informations and have a proper non-confrontational conversation with the members. Do I think that Ibuki had any ill intent towards the team? Absolutely not. That I can be sure of. And do I think the manager did? Probably not. I think he genuinely wanted the members to make money, but his lack of transparency wouldn't protect anyone from unfair treatment or wages being withheld. One thing is certain though, his business conduct was deeply unprofessional, and he did not act in the team's actual interest. With Route 59, I think that it was right for them to push back on that contract structure, but as professional tour company, they didn't handle it with the professionalism the situation required. And for the members, I completely understand why they would be frustrated, because they were sitting in the dark, waiting for the tour to be settled, waiting to be paid for the show, also unable to take work in the meantime. So they lost trust in this manager. When they asked Ibuki to remove the manager and she didn't, that also dragged their trust towards Ibuki as the leader down with him. I don't think Route 59 were trying to manipulate them. I think Route 59 was also frustrated and took drastic measures. So I don't blame them for believing Route 59. To be clear, everything that I said is an opinion based on information that had been released publicly by Route 59. I'm not accusing anyone of any legal misconduct. So what can we learn from all of this? OJO Gang, constructor of 7 individual world-class dancers, managed to claim the title by using what others saw as their weakness, which are their strong 7 individual styles, as their strength and versatility. Their raw and authentic Osaka swag and personality and attitude, especially from Kyoka, really won people's heart, especially within a reality TV format. And this kind of like unpolished and unbroadcasted potential is exactly what the industry wants. However, there's a clear gap. There's a lack of professional infrastructure to bridge the world of underground dancers and freestylers, especially those from communities who are a little further from the industry, such as Osaka, into the commercial space. The people who are business savvy often don't know how to break into that world and that bubble and represent dancers properly. And the ones who do aren't always the most professional on how they conduct themselves in business. And because of this, in the worst case scenarios, it's pretty common for street dancers to be exploited or taken advantage of by managers or business partner or studios or events who only wants to make money out of them and don't have the best intentions. And the industry itself doesn't equip the talents they want to work with. This whole conflict shows that the industry wasn't ready to take care of the street dancers they were bringing into their world. And once again, it ended up destroying years of personal connections made between these dancers, which is the very thing that made the community beautiful and authentic in the first place. And this is why I created this channel, because sometimes the dancers themselves are the one who needs to be business and marketing savvy, and we can only learn by having these uncomfortable conversations publicly. So thanks so much for watching until the end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you want more of this deep dive video essays about the dance community.